We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on Patrick Paul, Miami Dolphins' newest tackle. They added in the draft, and I definitely have some reservations about this pick. He's definitely a developmental type player that they're bringing in. Not going to make much of a year one impact. Now, he is ending up in a good place for him because the Dolphins are a very O-line friendly team, and Mike McDaniel's scheme and Butch Berry has helped develop some people. And, we're going to see all the strengths and the weaknesses in this game. Really, the obvious strengths are, his size and length, and he's a above average athlete for his size. It's just how well does he actually utilize those things? Because it's not very consistently. You're going to see him utilize those things to his max potential when it comes to his technique. Plays with super wide hands too often. I think his footwork can be inefficient, which limits his, explosiveness. He needs to work on his landmarks. Just playing with leverage. He's a waist bender. That happens with your size. You're not going to bend at the knees, which gets him into trouble, like over lunging. But then there's some times where he's just in complete control and looks like a top pick. It's just not the pick personally I would have made. They're going for like the high upside type of player, but he needs a ton of work. He is working with Duke Manyweather, which is a good thing, and hopefully Barry can help develop him. As you can see, the physical upside that he definitely possesses, and he's definitely a better pass protector. Like overall, he has a high pass rush. Like his win rate was super high, winning as a pass blocker. He just did it very ugly, and to me, if he keeps the same technique that he showed at the college level, like it's gonna not translate super well to the NFL level. He's gonna end up losing those battles against NFL level talent. He kind of was beating up on some guys who are not NFL level talent when he was showing some bad technique. You can see the flashes are there. It just really plays with really wide hands. He plays with better hands. And in the running game, he will play with some nastiness, which is nice. That's probably my favorite thing about him is when he plays with nastiness in the running game and put some people on the ground. But yeah, overall, definitely want to see some better things out of Patrick Paul. And he is a likable guy, like high character. You can see it in the interviews. He interviewed well. Clearly wanted to be a Dolphin, which is nice. Let's see him get out of his stance here. I like his aggressive sets. If he's setting, I feel like sometimes when he sets, he takes inefficient with his feet, crosses over, poor base. But when he's getting out and jump setting people and getting aggressive attacking, I feel like he plays with better overall technique. His feet are a little too tight here again, and he's getting a little too far over the top. But he does a better job, I think, feeling comfortable. When he attacks people, he at least gets his hands in a better spot. Overall, he's still wide here. He's almost hugging him, but usually he goes super patient, lets the defensive lineman get into him first. So you can see him get out of here. He moves well for a guy of his size. In the running game, he needs to be better with his angles and leverage to really work within the outside zone scheme. But there are examples when he gets hands on you, he'll whoop you. It's just he has a lot of issues at times. Here, he actually gets hands on. This is him going against a former first round pick in 2023 that's on the Raiders and Tyree, and he gets hands on him and just torques him out the club. You can see the power, the nastiness. He's actually able to square him up, play with tight hands, which he rarely does, so needs to really fix that up. Just boom, torques him out, plays like that, and then finish, land on top of him. Actually utilize your length to your, nice to see him get out laterally too, because it's all about efficiency with him when it comes to footwork, because he has the athleticism at his size. He tested well. It's just, does he maximize it? So he gets out here laterally pretty nicely, and then combines it with his hands. That's what you want to see, just on a more consistent basis. But will he do that? Who ends up knowing? This is a better job here. Overall, he's wide with his hands, but the base is at least good. He's at least bending at the knees, bending too much at the waist too, and getting a little over the top. But he at least has control inside there. If he gets hands inside, he wins a lot of his reps. Actually extend fully with his length. He just needs to be better with his weight distribution, but he can still win a lot of his reps. It's just he did it pretty ugly at times. This is probably as clean as it gets for him. He has a good anchor. Gets out, keeps his hands a little too wide. He gets them out too late, but he gets at least back into a decent spot and resets them underneath, which is nice to see. And he plays with better bend here and lean, and then once he gets into this position, he actually is bending at the knee. He's digging in, using an anchor. He's playing a little more upright with his chest, which is nice to see. This is a better position that he just needs to be in on a more consistent basis, because the physical traits are there. He plays with nastiness. He's a high character guy. Definitely is putting in the effort to get better. It's just, to me, even if he works out, he's a guy that's not going to see the field unless multiple injuries end up happening, and that's kind of the issue I have with the pick overall. You can see the negatives here, getting engaged, playing too far over the top. Like, even, like, look at his length, right? He has insane arm length. No one should ever, be able to, out-arm length him. This guy doesn't have longer arms than him, and he still doesn't get his hands on this guy in the chest. Like, he's underneath, like, just behind the elbow of this guy, not even into the armpit, and then he plays too far over the top, over lunges, which is a problem that a lot of, taller tackles have. He can't play guard. He's definitely not that guard type, and then, loses his balance, gets too far over the top, ends up losing that. This is actually a play that I really like from Paul, because, when he was facing some, like, inside counters, guys trying to work to the inside, cross his face, this is a nice ability to redirect or get out of your stance, because he gets in this position a lot. I mean, his hands are too wide, but then guys try to work to beat him to the outside with speed, because, he's a bigger guy. That's kind of where they try to go. But the ability to redirect, like, he gets too tight, like, his feet could be better, like, that base right there is horrible. But, boom, be able to redirect to the inside and match that and show off that inside power plant and then finish with that guy on the ground. That's good work. I love the ability to redirect a guy for his size. So he does possess some nice athleticism. It's just he doesn't always maximize it to its potential due to the the inefficient footwork overall with his base, and then it just needs to become a lot more tighter with his hands. And I also think he takes some false steps at times when it comes to getting to his landmark. Like he takes an unnecessary step forward. Like he gets out of his stance here and then kind of leans over the top and then almost crosses his feet over. But he's still able to redirect and make a play. He's just got to be able to, not win as ugly every single time. Like this play against the Texas Tech first rounder again, that was from 2023. He's not a great player, but he at least keeps his hands a little tighter here once he's about to engage. Like he's exposing his chest too much, bending his knees. Now he gets too far overextended, but he's able to get underneath there, and he's just utilize his length. Well, at least once he's in this position, when he gets pushed back, he's at least able to like finish the block with putting the guy on the ground. So it's like there's some positives and negatives. I feel like every play I watch, I'm like, oh, you can see the positives, but there's also his weaknesses are always on display every single time. It's just the technique is so hard to watch, and it happens way too often. This was probably his best game, I think, against Tulane here, where he played with technique. Like there was games I'm like, he looked like a completely different player. Like here, getting out of his stance, he just looks way more balanced, better lean. I mean, the footwork is a little inefficient there again, taking, like unnecessary kind of steps forward in his pass set. But then he gets engaged. The hands are at least, in a decent position. And now, he's bending more at the knees. His chest is more upright, not leaning over the top. Now he's able to redirect to the inside, bring his feet across with his hands, and just, mirror match Stonewall, guys. It's just, when you're facing NFL level talent, it's not going to be as easy when you have that poor technique. Wide hands, basically hugging people like this. Can't have this happen at a consistent level when you're going against NFL level talent. Just need to be more clean with it. This is a type of play like sliding the protection to the right in play action. This is something the Dolphins do a lot, so you got to be able to slide in protection. So it's nice to see him get out laterally. For a big guy, he works out laterally. I think he honestly looks his most comfortable here when he's like can match people like this across when people are trying to cross his face, and that kind of works in this, same way when it comes to sliding protection. I feel like his hands are kind of forced to be in a better position when he's doing this, just because, it's almost like he's kind of engaging as a run blocker, which, it's easier to be consistent in those areas. And now he's just mirror matching with his hands, feet going back and forth. Really nice lean. Like this is good body positioning. He's not leaned over the top. He's bending here at the knees. His up top, getting that chest straight, which is nice to see too. And now he's just, has the physical traits to absolutely dominate once he does that. And it's just, as you can see, just way better technique throughout this game. Drag hand there with the inside, even though, he gets his hands back into a better place, better body lean distribution. Just doing this stuff on a consistent basis, which he doesn't do. Doesn't have, like, there was games where I'm like, dude, I've seen him play with horrible technique for like 20 plays straight. It was a tough watch at times, to be honest. Like this Texas game specifically, there was some tough plays. This one, not too bad. Like I don't know what he's doing here with his feet. He gets out of here, the stance. He's like backpedaling here. Like, what is this? He doesn't like get out of his stance in like any sort of typical set. Like, look at the right tackle, right? Right tackle shoots out of his stance, basically doing your normal stuff there. It's not a great kick step, but like he basically is backpedaling here. So like His base is super narrow. Like, this positioning is absolutely horrible. Like, where's his hands? They're not ready to fight. Then the guy tries to go to the inside, and he's able to stop it very quickly because he's just a bigger, more athletic human than the guy across from him. And the guy's not across from him doesn't really know what he's doing either. And then it's just really tough to watch. You can see a little more of an aggressive set here. He looks more comfortable. Get engaged quickly. When he has to get engaged quickly with guys and he's able to get his hands on first, it looks better. Able to reset. And he's actually a pretty like smart player. Like when it comes to twists and stunts, like I thought he played fine. And you can tell from like the way he interviews, like he's a smart kid. I think he's 22 years old, which then there's these flashes like this where he's aggressive setting, which is definitely that you can definitely do in the Dolphins offense. There will be times they do this type of thing where you get engaged quickly, especially after like the play actions, because they love to run play action. And the way to sell that is, being more aggressive with your sets. So that's at least something where I could see him fitting within the offense. And he gets engaged on these guys very nicely. I think, it could be, a little bit better initially, but once he gets engaged, like right there, he's in a good spot to anchor and control this. Much better, like positioning, distribution, all those types of things. It's just, can he do this on a consistent basis? Like here, he kind of loses this rep, gets wide with his hands. The guy's able to rip underneath. This is like where some of the edges, like when he had poor technique, didn't really give him any. They didn't even try to like use any pass throughs. So I'm like, this guy actually used like a push and pull and then rip underneath, and like he hooks him around. Probably should get called for holding. Ends up throwing the guy to the ground. But to me, that's probably a loss on that rep specifically, and he's not going against like some high end guy. And I imagine that versus NFL talent. Like to me, needs huge development. That's why I'm not like a super huge on this pick. He was a guy I wasn't looking super forward to. And it kind of happens throughout. When the guy got engaged, used his own leverage against him, he gets placed so far over the top, push and pull him down, rip, swipe at those hands. Like he's going to be in this position way too often. Like this is not a position to be in. He does have some pretty good balance though. Like he doesn't end, like I only saw him end up on the ground. Like I showed that one clip, he ended on the ground. He didn't end up on the ground as often as you think for a guy that plays too far over the top. And he does a decent job of kind of recovering here. The quarterback, if he could step up in the pocket, it'd be nice. But he doesn't. But he's at least able to stay engaged a little bit. But it's still a pressure. Guy gets hit. So much work that needs to be done overall with his technique. Just looking at him as a player. We're going to show this play last because this is a play I was watching in the film. So we'll see him get out of his stance here. Pretty explosive with that initial step. You can see the initial explosiveness out of his stance for a guy of his size, moving pretty well. And then now once he's here, just look at his body. What are his hands doing? Like the right tackle's already got his hands up ready to fight. They're really low. They're even lower. He's still not ready to get an edge. Boom. This guy just shoots his hand into his chest. He's not even close to being engaged yet. And now the guy, you can see he has some great like upper body strength the way he's built. Like this move didn't affect him at all. So you can see like how, powerful he can be. But like look at him here, and now he basically just hugs him. So he wins that rep technically, but it was so like not his technicality wasn't great, like, but he technically won the rep. But needs to be so much better with his technique, because this type of thing at the next level, like people are going to use long arms against him all the time because he has insane arm length, man. It just comes down, can he actually figure out how to use it? And to me, that's not like the type of pick I would have gone for personally. So many other directions to go. So it was a little disappointing, but I'll be rooting for him. Seems like a good guy, and it's just to me, the Dolphins are in a win now mode, and I would have liked a guy that would have been more of a contributor now. Like, because even Chop, who was kind of also a developmental guy who would get better, he will help you play at least a little bit now, and he'll be within the rotation and definitely make an impact that way. It's just, I don't know if Paul will really play unless you see probably multiple injuries happen to Armstead and probably Kendall Lamb too, because I feel like Lamb would be the first option for them as a swing tackle as they're trying to develop Patrick Paul's game. So if you guys know what they're doing, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and see you next time. Peace.